So today we will create some sounds in the CV Rack from scratch, inspired by the sounds of the early days of Tangerine, Dream, and the idea for this video came from my Patreons, so thank you Patreons for the idea and also for your support. At the end of the video, by the way, I will also perform the patch, so stick around, and let's already start with a sort of an ambient pad-like sound to have in the background. So let's use the modulo sequencer, which will look like this. Let's enter some notes. I will go with D, F, let's go also with D, B flat and F and A. Very nice. For our voice we will use the complex oscillator from Lifeform Modular, and let's use also the VCA from VCV, which will look like this, and the AD envelope from Nischi, which is this one. Okay, let's send the sequencer to the main input of the oscillator. The main output will go to the VCA, the envelope will control this VCA, and this we will send to the mixer. Now, for our clock, let's do something like this. Let's go to about 22, let's say 122 BPM, and let's run the clock to drive the sequencer. Let's also send the reset. And now the same clock will trigger also the AD envelope and you will get sound. Let's maybe raise the decay a bit. So this is the sound we will get. Now I want something more ARP and pad-like. So let's multiply this clock by 8. Something like this. And now what we will do, we will drown this voice in reverb. So let's use plateau from Valley. Okay, let's take the wet all the way down and the dry also all the way down for now. We will add some modulation, take the lows a bit out. And now let's send this voice to plateau and to the mixer and start raising only the wet signal. Oh yeah. Something like this. And now if I play with the sound of the oscillator, we will get some more movement and variation. So I can add FM, for example. Let's take the second oscillator, the modulator, an octave down. I can also change the mix. Oh yeah. Okay, so now what we need is a way to have the sound moving by itself without us controlling it. So let's use the sample and hold for Mokba or Moskva. Now I'm using this sample and hold first of all because it has 8 channels, and for each channel also we have probability control. So we can set the sample and hold not to change too often, or in this case it's too often. Now I don't want the modulation also to be stepwise like normal sample and hold. I want it to be more smooth. So let's use Slade. Maybe I will just turn this off for a second. Okay, so now we'll use Slade from Squinky Labs, which is basically an 8 channel, slew limiter, so we can smoothen out the sample and hold signal. Let's start by triggering the sample and hold with the clock, and this will be normalized to all 8 channels. Let's use 7 outputs, and we will send them to the gate input, or the input of Slade. Okay, let's look at it also on the scope just so I can show you. This is the sample and hold. You can see it's stepwise motion, but if I take it from the slew, and we can change also the times, the rise and fall times, you can see we get something smoother that is better in this case for what I want to achieve. So let's get rid of the scope. Okay, so now let's lower the probability quite a bit, actually between 10 and 20%, just so we don't get too many changes or too many jumps for those 7 channels. Okay, and let's start modulating. Let's start modulating the oscillator. So let's do this. Let's use the FM. And now, by the way, you can see that on the sample and hold we can change the range. So here it's -5 to +5. Now you might think, why am I using negative voltage? The FM knob is already all the way to the left, which means that negative voltage will do nothing in this case. But it's good actually because we get even less modulation or less frequent modulation. So what I will do, I will actually take the range even lower to -10. So the modulation will happen less often. So this is the FM. Let's add modulation to the mix and to the clip and to the 4 modulation here, modulations. Should not forget to open the attenuators. Oh yeah. So the sound is moving. Very nice. Okay, let's add some bite to the sound with the distortion module from Surge, which will look like this. We will use the signal after the reverb, so the distortion will have something to bite, something to grab on, some meat. And let's send this to the mixer and solo it. So this is how it will sound like before we tweak anything. Okay, and now first of all, let's raise the high cut all the way up, and you know what we will do? We'll go also to the mixer and we will take out the lower frequencies from this channel, maybe about 250, something like this. So we took the high cut all the way up, pre-EQ, this controller here. Now let's add some drive. Already we can feel it, also some feedback. And then take the high cut post EQ, also a bit up. Somewhere here. Oh yes. Let's take the levels a bit down and unsolo this, so we have another layer with a bit more warmth to it. Again, this is without. And now with. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is adding some texture. Okay, now it's time to add a nice, hopefully it will be nice, mesmerizing, hypnotizing sequence. So let's use the Sec 3 from VCV, which will look like this. Okay, I will also use the mixer from VCV. Let's see if I can find it quickly. This one here. Okay, now I want to have the sequence in a certain scale. So let's use Quantum from ML. This one, and let's enter some notes. I will go with D, F, A, and B flat. Now let's mix all 3 rows or sequences of this sequencer, change the levels a bit, take one down, maybe a bit more down, a bit less down. Let's take the mix level all the way down for now. Now, by the way, I'm mixing the signals so I can later on during the performance change the levels, and by that also change the sequence on the fly. Let's send this to Quantum from the mix output. Now let's change the steps a bit, so each row will be somewhat somewhat different from one another, because again I'm mixing them, so it doesn't really matter. They just need to be a bit different, just a bit. Okay, now for our voice we will use Vesek from Vult. This one here. I will also use the noise module from, again, Surge. It's nice and dark. We will use the mixer from Lindenberg to mix those two, which will look like this. Now this mixer has also a built-in VCA that we will use later. Let's duplicate the AD envelope. Okay, and now the quantized signal will go to Vesek, Vesek will go to the mixer, the noise will go to the mixer, the envelope will control the amplitude of the mixer or the level of the mixer. Let's send this now to our main mixer, another channel, very nice. Okay, now let's use a clock multiplied by 2. I will multiply a clock by 2. Let's use this to drive our sequencer through the external input, and we will also use this again to drive the envelope or to trigger the envelope. Let's again also connect the reset just in case. Okay, now let's start only with Vesek. This will be Vesek. Let's solo this also, you know what, just so we can concentrate on this. Now let's start raising the mixer here for the pitch. Okay, so this is our sequence. Okay, now let's start changing the sound of Vesek. So let's change the first, let me zoom in a bit. The first oscillator will be a triangle wave, and let's take it maybe an octave up. Oh yeah. Okay. Now let's mix in some noise. Very nice. Of course, with Vesek we have all sorts of things we can do, like fold it, FM, shaper, so we can play again. This is for the performance. Okay, now let's take it out from the mixer and let's send it to tangents, to a low pass filter, and then we will use the Chronoblob 2 from AllRight Devices. Let's change the time modulation mode so it will not glitch when we change the delay times. We will use in this case a mono delay, and let's sync it with our clock. Okay, now let's change the delay time to something like this maybe. Let's send the voice to Chronoblob and to the mixer. Oh yes. I just need the mono signal actually. Add some resonance. Take the wet a bit down, more feedback. Oh yeah. Okay, now here's a tip about gain staging in VCV. You can see that the LEDs here of Chronoblob are red, which means that the signal is too hot. So let's attenuate this signal. Because it's too hot, Chronoblob will not be able to work as well as it should. So let's just attenuate this signal with the VCA before the delay. Let's just take it a bit down until it's not red anymore. Let's see at the bit drive, maybe a bit lower. Okay. Now we can take it in the mixer a bit up and unmute it or unsolo it. Oh yeah. Let's just take the distorted signal a bit down. And maybe the main one also a bit down, just so the sequence will come to the front. Okay, let's add some reverb to this. This is channel 3. Something like this. I have here plateau as a sand reverb. Oh yeah, lots of possibilities for live performance. Okay, now also here I miss a bit of a bite to the sound. So let's use the Briatus from Vult. And now because we are using a mono delay, we can use the send and return, we can use the feedback loop of Chronoblob. So let's create a feedback loop with the Briatus. The send will go to the Briatus, and from the Briatus will go to the return input. And now I can add, for example, some folding. Oh yeah, some crush. Some saturation. Oh yeah. Whoa. Okay, so we can add some bite to the sound also in the performance. I think this kind of patches is all about the performance. Okay, now let's add some movement to the sequence by modulating the panning. So I will use walk from Bog Audio, which will look like this. Let's send it to the pan CV input of this voice, and in the context menu of this channel we can change the pan CV input. So let's change this to about 70, so it's not going hard left and hard right. And you can see also the modulation here. And by the way, walk will output a random smooth signal, so it's perfect for slow modulations like this. Okay, now let's add something that will add drive to the patch, and this will be a HiHat. Yes, a HiHat. And I will use the HiHat from Hora. Now, first of all, I use it because it has a dedicated open hat section, and also I really like how it sounds like, and also it has many tweaking possibilities that we can use in the performance. By the way, I'm using only free available modules, so you can download it. It will be available for everyone to use and explore. I will put a link in the description to it in the description, so you can download it. Okay, now let's multiply a clock by 4, and I will use chances from count modular. With chances, we can send the clock randomly to both trigger inputs, the normal one or the closed one and the open one. So let's use the multiplied by 4 clock. And now let's send one, or output A will go to the main trigger input, to the closed hat trigger input, and output B will go to the open hats trigger input. And let's send this to the mixer. Maybe we should take the levels a bit down. Okay, so this is how the HiHat will sound like. Let's solo this, you know what? Just so we can listen exactly to what's going on. Now I don't really want the open hat. I just want the sound to be a bit different than the main one. So let's first of all take the decay all the way down. The open hat will be just a bit open, with more decay, and the level will go all the way up. So we have two different sounds, you can listen to it. And they are alternating. Let's also change the global sound by taking the metallic or noisy all the way to metallic, the pitch all the way up, and also the tone. Oh yeah. Let's again listen to everything. And this will add some drive. Something like this. Add some, just a bit, reverb. Oh yeah. So again, lots to tweak. Okay, another thing we can do, we can send a copy of this voice to another VCA, a copy of it to another VCA, and use another chronoblob. This time we will go with the ping pong delay. Let's again sync it with our clock, change the time modulation mode. Okay, now in this case I want only the wet signal, I don't want again the dry signal. Let's add some feedback also. Let's change the delay times, so I will take it first, the delay time, the main one, to about here, -3, and or multiplied by 3, and I will change also the time only for the right channel, so we have 2 different delay times, one for each channel. Okay, now let's close the VCA and send this to chronoblob and to the mixer. Very nice. And now we can add effects with the hi-hat. Let's just add reverb first. Which channel was it? Let's see, channel 5. Let's add a fair amount of reverb here. Okay, now we can add effects with the hi-hat that will sound like this. Oh yeah, we have to take the levels down a bit. This was -8. Effects. Again, this is for the performance. With the mouse it's not so fun, but later on for the performance there's a lot to tweak, which can be really fun. Okay, now of course we can add a lot more of other things to this, but something important that I think we should add is a sort of a noise sweep. So let's use another tangents, and we will use the noise output from the hi-hat to the low pass input of tangents. Let's take the frequency all the way down and add nice resonance. In this case I will use another delay, but I will use the delay from VCV. Set the time, lots of feedback, color all the way up so it's nice and bright. And let's take this to the mixer, and in the mixer we will take also again the low frequencies out. Let's say this time about 500, something like this, and add reverb all the way. Okay, and now let's see what we got. Ready? Down. One more time. Oh yeah. So we have the noise sweep. Very nice. Let's again, you know what we can do? We can modulate, take another walk and modulate also, maybe raise the rate a bit and modulate the panning for the noise. So just to add some movement to this also. Okay, so now I'm going to perform this, and I will put also a link of a video of how I performed and what I mapped to what. I will put it on my Patreon page, so if you are interested, links in the description. Again, there will be also a link to this patch for everyone to use and explore. Again, I used only free available modules. Thank you again, Patreons, for the idea and for the support. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the other side.